Have you seen or been given the president's speech in advance?
No,
Do you know?
I've not been given an advance speech. You know, everyone around here is still speculating about what he's going to say. And the word is that he will say that he supports public option. He would prefer public option. However, he wants a bill, a health care reform bill, and he's prepared to sign one without public option in it. That's what I'm told to expect.
Now, is that an acceptable line?
No.
From your point of view, why not?
No, from my point of view, I am very, very supportive of a public option. It will not be credible health care reform without it. We can't simply turn over 47 million people to the same insurance companies that have been ripping people off for all of these years. These guys have increased the premiums constantly. They have increased the co-pays and the deductibles, and they have been a reign of terror. And then they have the audacity to deny people their claims. People have to fight with them after they have paid premiums, sometimes for years, to get them to pay their doctor bills and their hospital costs. So without competition, which would be created by public option, it just would not be credible.
Do you think now that the president and the White House should submit their own draft of legislation, would that be helpful? Presuming, let's say it included what you just said, a no compromise on the public option.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, one of the things that the president has been criticized about is a lack of leadership on this issue. You know, both houses have played around with it, and we have 3 bills that have come out on this side. I think a couple have come out on the Senate side. And he has indicated support for a public option. And then in one speech he said, well, it was not the central thing, it was a sliver. And that confused a lot of folks. And then they came out the next day with this Health and Human Services secretary says, oh, no, we support public option. So we really do need to understand really, really, truly where he stands.
Now, Congresswoman Maxine brought us here with us. Now, you're not just speaking for yourself either. Your view is consistent with the views of the Congressional Black Caucus, the Progressive Caucus. They expressed this, I believe, to the president. And sounds like, if I'm not mistaken, the Speaker of the House. I mean, she hasn't sounded like...
That's right. That's right. She came out of the meeting with the president saying she strongly supports public option. She had said at one point in time she could not get a bill off the floor. She didn't think without public option in it. And so we're just hopeful. We're so hopeful. We love the president to just stick with it and battle it out, and let's have the fight. You know, it's time to really stand up on this most important issue and do what you have to do. I mean, he's got a lot of tools in his tool bag that he can use with, convincing members or blue dogs who may be against it. I think he needs to leave the Republicans alone. They're not going to support anything. We need to take our majority and just go, you know.
Do you also feel, as some of us do, that the White House has not been in a fighting mood, that it has not really asserted itself and pushed some of the buttons it needs to push?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. But, the president signaled his style a long time ago. He likes bringing people together. He believes in bipartisanship. He wants to get rid of the old divisions of the past, he said, and this was about change. And so it all sounded very, very good, and, people liked what he said. However, I do believe that, people understand that when you're going for something as important, as significant as comprehensive universal health care, and you are being stymied by the so-called bipartisan other side of the aisle, and they will not agree to anything, that you can't roll over. You've got to move. And you've got to show that you're willing to exert some muscle. And, Yeah, I think a lot of people are thinking that now.
Yeah, and he's got to stand up. Mm-hmm. You mentioned there are other tools he has to use, to Congresswoman Waters. Can you give us some examples?
Let me tell you what they do, how it really works.
Okay.
First thing they do is the president will start calling members up to the White House. Sometimes they call them one by one, they call them two by two, and they sit down and they talk to them. The value of that is members going down to the White House and sitting with the president is always considered a kind of high-level honor that the president would have them in. They get a chance maybe to tell the president a few things that's been on their mind that they'd like to see happen. And so the invitation in itself is prestigious. Secondly, oftentimes the president will know and should know the concerns of members about their district and projects they're working on and things that they have been trying to get done, and the president will commit to supporting them in their efforts in some special way, and that's a biggie if that kind of thing can happen. Then thirdly, the president can help people out who are going to have difficult campaigns where his presence in their districts or raising money for them is huge. His offer of help and assistance, particularly those who are in closely cut districts where the numbers of Democrat, Republican numbers are almost even, 49-51, that kind of thing. They can close that kind of deal.
Yeah.
It goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of tools. I mean, it's a big office.
Are you suggesting, Congresswoman Waters, that the White House has really not employed those tools?
I don't know. I haven't seen any evidence of it at this point.
That's amazing. I mean, that's pretty much politics 101.
It's politics, and everybody knows it. And then at some point, if people are just really, really, particularly Democrats in your own caucus are recalcitrant and they're uncooperative and they appear to have another agenda that they're not forthcoming with or what have you, the president just has to say, this is something I want. And I would consider that, my Democratic colleagues who know how important this is to me and have no good reason for not supporting it have just, drew a line in the sand for no reason at all. And that creates some real problems for our ongoing relationship,
Congresswoman Maxine Waters, are you prepared to draw your own line in the sand?
Mine has been drawn, baby. Mine is drawn.
So let's make it plain. What is your line?
I am not going to vote for any legislation that does not have a public option in it that will drive down the cost of this insurance. People have been gouged and they have been literally ripped off by these insurance companies far too long. Aetna Insurance president makes $24 million a year. 10 of the top insurance company CEOs make over $10 million a year. They don't put the money back into health care for people who have been struggling paying these premiums. We've got families now that got to drop their children because they can't afford it. The premium costs keep going up. And then we just did a study out in California that showed one insurance company denies 39.5% of all the claims after people have been paying premiums for all these years.
Yeah.
So my line has been drawn.
Congresswoman Maxine Waters, and we know for a fact, folks, that she's speaking for herself now, and she's clear. But I'm sure there are many other members in the Black Caucus and the Progressive Caucus, other Democrats who join her in that position. Nancy Pelosi, after all, has pretty much said the same thing, that most members share Congresswoman Waters' sentiments. I don't know if you had a chance to see the study today that said that the Bush tax cuts were more costly than this health care reform ever would be.
Absolutely. I didn't see the study, but, I know it, and I think that our take on the bill, how we're going to pay for this bill by repealing those tax cuts, is extremely important. It's fair, and it should be done. they were supposed to be the conservatives. They're now hollering about deficit and how you're going to pay for it. They weren't worried about it when he was spending like a drunken sailor. They just spent and spent and spent. They threw all of our money into Iraq and Afghanistan and tax cuts, and, Cheney and his boys ripped it off. And
right.
look, yes, of course it was.
Indeed.